Brevity. The word of the day is brevity. That's right. Welcome to a slightly accelerated. This isn't the old new podcast. This is the new podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to that new podcast here on Rage Slade. I am Jeff.
I'm Amanda.
And we're going a little bit fast because yesterday
we're on a lot of cocaine.
Yesterday I was awake for about 31 hours straight, and we were supposed to do the podcast yesterday, and I was just like, I'm just going to be like, no. So we're doing it today, but that means that Amanda and I are going to do this podcast and then record like 2 videos after that. So, bing, bang, boom. Let's keep this show moving. Mm-hmm. So before we get started on the video game stuff, I've got 2 quick things that I would like to talk about.
Okay.
The first is I saw that new Blade Runner movie.
Oh, how was it?
I thought it was way too long.
How long is it?
2 hours and 45 minutes.
Yeah. So like an hour and 45 minutes too long?
Too goddamn long.
Did you? Okay.
The movie's too goddamn long, Amanda.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
Yeah.
So
why did you do that?
First of all, do you like the original? And then in the context of the original, how does it work out as a sequel?
Excellent questions. I will answer them right now. Okay, I like the original Blade Runner, but I don't think it's like as brilliant. It's kind of the way I feel about a lot of Christopher Nolan, and it very much may be just because this is like because I'm a fucking old man who's hard to please. Mm-hmm. But like even when I was younger, I'm like I like Blade Runner, but I've seen Blade Runner maybe like a handful of times. Like it's never the sort of thing that I would be like, oh shit, I got to get that new Blu-ray cut because I want to watch it more than one time. Like. Yeah. I was like, it's a fine movie. I like it. I actually like everybody shits on the original cut that has like the Harrison Ford voiceover on it. I kind of like that. Like it's more like a noir detective story, even though the voiceover is kind of meh. But like, yeah. But it's also been a long time since I've watched it, so I like it. I don't love it. I think that it's got some very and I recognize how influential it is. I feel like not to the same extent, but I kind of feel about it like I feel about Citizen Kane, where I'm like I understand why people like this, but I personally am just not as like whoa as everybody else is.
At this point, its place in history is more important than its entertainment value.
Well, and that's just for me. For a lot of people, I mean, you've seen it, right?
I watched Blade Runner once in college, and I hated it.
Okay. All right.
But people say that I might have watched the wrong version. The only problem is I don't know what version I watched, so I'm like not willing to risk watching another version.
Yeah, that's another problem with Blade Runner is that there's like 4 versions.
Yeah.
But in any case, I think it's okay. I think that from an influence standpoint for Ridley Scott, I think that Alien is much more important than Blade Runner to me because Alien does that whole kind of like low-tech industrial futuristic thing, and it also is a science fiction horror movie, and all those things are really interesting. It also brings H.R. Giger into our minds, in our living rooms for the first time. But anyway, so this new one, I like the guy.
Ryan Gosling?
No, not Ryan Gosling. Actually,
Dave Bautista?
I thought that was Dave Bautista.
That's in fact Dave Bautista.
I was like, hey.
He's a professional wrestler.
No, the director. He's got a French as fuck name.
Pierre something?
Yes. It's
Jean-Luc Picard.
Jean-Luc Pierre Lautrec. Oops, nope, that's not what I was looking for.
That's the original, bro.
That's the wrong one. There we go. Denis Villeneuve.
It's a really French name.
Dennis. And he did The Arrival, which I really liked, but was also Alien one. I like that movie a lot. He also did Sicario, which I was more like, man, that was one of those just like, wow, crime. What are you going to do? Guillermo del Toro's a fucking weirdo.
Benicio del Toro?
Benicio del Toro. What did I say?
Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro. He was also.
You've seen one del Toro, you've seen them all.
My racist comment of the day. All them del Toros. Speaking of which, that new Pacific Rim trailer looks fucking dynamite.
Not a Guillermo del Toro movie anymore.
I know, but it still looks dynamite.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Pacific.
Well, we're gonna talk about 2 trailers with what's his name?
John Boyega.
John Boyega. Man. For getting 30 hours of sleep and all hopped up on coffee, my brain is not working at all. Anyway, so the new Blade Runner, way too long. Just fucking
Any movie over 2 hours is too long. I don't give a shit if it's the greatest movie in the whole wide world. I'm not sitting down for 2 hours and 45 minutes.
The thing is that I would like to say, if you have a reason, like if you have a Lawrence of Arabia, Lord of the Rings reason to have a movie that's long, that is that long, great. That's fine. And
is Harrison Ford and Ryan Gosling not a good enough reason?
No, it's not a good enough reason to have a movie that is that long. I actually just want to make sure.
Jared Leto in it?
Yeah, he was in the trailers.
I didn't watch trailers. I wasn't going to watch it. I have 2 rules about trailers. Either if I'm going to watch the movie, I'm not going to bother watching the trailer because you're selling me on nothing, and we'll get into that. And then if I'm not going to watch the movie, why would I bother watching the trailer?
Well, that's a good reason not to watch the trailers. But here's the thing: it's a very pretty movie. It's a dynamite pretty movie.
In the same way that I don't know if the original Blade Runner was pretty per se, but
it was striking. It's kind of like that. It's very kind of striking in its idea of the future. I think the plot kind of sucks. Like, I think the acting is okay. I think Ryan Gosling. I have a friend who really likes Drive and Only God Forgives and whatever, and he's just like, man, Ryan Gosling, his acting is like so subtle, and I'm like, it's too subtle for me. I can't, because I'm just like,
just sounds like he's reading lines.
like all I see is those videos of Ryan Gosling won't eat his cereal, you know, that they coming towards him. I think that the plot is a little reductive. I don't think that Harrison Ford needs to be in it, and I think it needs to be about an hour shorter, because the soundtrack was good. The visuals were good. There were plenty of good performances by people in it. It's
going to be like a fan edit to knocks it down a little bit.
I felt like it was one of those movies, and again, you know what? I would like to invite the people who are disagreeing with me right now, who are listening in their car or in their headphones and just shaking your head and you're saying whatever. I was this close to going on Facebook and saying, like, can you explain what's so brilliant about this movie? Because I didn't see anything in the themes that hasn't been explored better on episodes of Star Trek. And I didn't see, I mean, it's very pretty, but just about every movie is very pretty these days, especially if it has a budget like that. The performances were fine, but it wasn't like I was like, oh my God, the fucking Ryan Gosling is blowing my mind. Like, it isn't like I would say as much as it talk shit sometimes, Heath Ledger Joker is an amazing performance. I think it's iconic and it's great and it's wonderful. It's not my favorite type of Joker, but I still appreciate that it's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan Gosling is he's kind of like emotionless, and there's not a lot of people that have a lot of driving force in this movie.
Yeah.
Also, the person who's the heaviest like bad guy is no goddamn Rutger Hauer. I'll say that right now.
Is it Dave Bautista?
No, it's not.
Because I was going to say, because he's not a very good actor. Is it Sean Young?
I'm not going to say anymore. I'm not going to say anything about anything.
How many more? Is it Jared Leto?
What I am going to say is that there are a few like subplots in the movie that go on for fucking way too long. Where it's
crazy to me that this is 2 hours and 45 minutes, and they also released short films.
Yeah.
So really, it was like a 3-hour movie that they like split up and tossed out at you.
I feel like the bad guy's like reason for doing what he's doing is a little bit weak, and I don't know. It's strange. You know, the first Blade Runner kind of had this issue, and this isn't really a spoiler, but it's just something to think about. So in the first Blade Runner, to the average Joe Schmuck on the street, at least from what they showed, life seemed pretty cheap, right? Like you were either the guy living in the giant pyramid or you were like some dude on a bicycle eating ramen off the street, right? So in the original movie, the Tyrell Corporation creates these replicants, which aren't robots. They're genetically engineered like humans to go do off-world work that is very dangerous. It's a very expensive thing. It seems like it's very timely and cost-consuming, and you got these killer murder bots running around that Harrison Ford's got to blow away. In a future where life seems so cheap, why don't you just hire cheap labor to go off worlds and be like, if you survive, we'll give you a big bonus, but probably going to die. And then it seems like in this world that is both overpopulated, where life seems like it's very cheap and people just seem very disaffected, like I never see anybody living the good life. It seems like everybody in that future has a shitty life. So why are you going to all this rigmarole to make superhumans to send into space when you can just spend twice as many regular people which is horrible. I'm not,
Yeah, you're like, why don't you just kill people, thus ending the overpopulation issues?
There's some moral ambiguity that I feel like gets too ambiguous. Like, there's one scene that anybody that's seen the movie where Jared Leto does a thing. Anybody that's seen it knows what I'm talking about, but this shouldn't be like a spoiler. Where Jared Leto does a thing that's just really like kind of aggressive and brutal.
Kicks a puppy.
He kicks a puppy really hard,
right in the dick.
Yeah, and I don't understand why, because the puppy didn't do anything wrong.
Unless it's John Wick's dog, and this is the lead up for a much better movie.
And then John Wick came in and shot everybody. Yeah, and like there's some stuff, you know, you don't need to explain the idea that what he's doing is because of blah 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 blah, but it still seems. It's one of those things where it's like, let's say that I had an Aibo robot dog, right? Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to get rid of my Aibo, and then I got rid of it by taking it out my backyard and like crushing it to death by stomping on it the whole time, and it's going, no!
Yeah.
So why don't I just take the batteries out and throw it away, motherfucker? Like, what's wrong with you? Are you a horrible
Is it like
sadist?
the equivalent of bad guys in action movies where they just go, you fucked up, and they just shoot like every henchman that's in every fucking...
Yeah.
Like
Darth Vader killing his fucking...
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing?
That dude went to like
a good...
He went to Space West Point. Like, he came out of hyperspace too early, but like maybe bust him down to lieutenant, and like, you know, he's still like... Anyway.
Yes.
So I thought it was okay. I'm 100% honest here. Was if you could just not be condescending to me, please, and go into the comments and tell me why you thought this was brilliant.
Like a genuine opinion and not a teardown of somebody else's.
Yeah,
thoughts.
for example, I saw Brian Brushwood go on his Twitter and say, like, oh, this new one is better than the first one, like 5 out of 5 and whatever. And somebody came in and they were just like, well, you obviously don't know anything about movies. Like, go get like an opinion before you run your mouth on the internet.
Go get an opinion.
Something like that.
Holy shit, hang on. I got to go to the Walmart and get me an opinion. I hear they're on sale right now.
But if you could explain to me what it was that I wasn't seeing, it feels a lot to me these days. I have this problem these days. Star Trek Discovery, Blade Runner 2049, Wonder Woman was kind of like this. There's been a lot of stuff recently where everybody's just like, whoa, my brain hurts. And I'm just like, why? I'm not understanding. It may be that some people are more excited by like flashy visuals, and that stuff in a lot of ways washes over me. But
I feel like when it comes to opinions for movies like that a lot of it for me is being a bit of a jaded moviegoer. Like, I've seen a lot of movies. And so, like, sometimes I'm catching the, like, well, this isn't new. It's just the same thing with, like, new paint or old paint that other people feel nostalgic for or something. You know what I mean? Like, you get that a lot.
I feel like, for me, it's weird because I don't think I mind an unoriginal story. Mm-hmm. You know?
Well, I think if it's told properly, it's okay. Because, like, a lot of classic stories are like that. But, like, if you're trying to sell me on it in a inorganic or like fabricated way, like movie by committee shit, like that's why I have a lot of problems with superhero movies, is because like I like superhero stories, I read comic books, but you know, I just don't feel like there's a soul behind it.
Yeah, I get
it's
that.
Like dead behind the eyes shit.
Well, speaking of stuff with no soul, how about that new Star Wars trailer? No,
I haven't seen the new Star Wars trailer.
I will say that if you, like Amanda, have found yourself in a position where you have not somehow watched this new Star Wars trailer, don't watch it.
Mark Hamill and whatever the fuck the director's name is, Rian Johnson, both have said not to watch it, and then they posted on their Instagram. I don't know if that was like
contractual obligation.
Yeah, I mean, because they do. Apparently, that's a thing now where they like pay celebrities to post the trailers and stuff.
Yeah, it does give away quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't want to know. I don't want to know about Jar Jar being in it.
Yeah, I would say, you know,
what the fuck is a porg?
I don't know.
It's a little bird. Penguin-looking thing?
Oh, there's one tiny little scene with the little thing that's screaming at that thing. Anyway, I think that the movie, it looks like this trailer makes me more interested than the last trailer, but I'm also getting some weird notes of Empire Strikes Back, and considering how the first one leaned on A New Hope, I'm like, please don't do that again.
Bad news for you,
please,
Jeff.
Please don't do that again.
Bad news.
Please? ? Question mark? Exclamation point?
I'm actually more excited about this Star Wars because I'm going in so blind.
Good.
I haven't seen anything. I'm going in not knowing, because I honestly feel like I would have maybe liked Rogue One a little more if I hadn't seen the trailers for it.
Okay.
Probably not a whole lot more because it wasn't that great of a movie, but I liked Force Awakens. I didn't think I didn't love it, but it's tough.
At the end of the day, I've kind of come down to like okay. I don't know how many times I would want to watch it again. Like I don't know,
more than the prequels, less than the originals.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
that's about right. Maybe better than Jedi. Maybe better than Jedi. I don't really have a whole lot of love for Jedi between the fucking Ewoks and It's a Trap. But
yeah.
I don't know. If you haven't seen it, I say don't. If you have seen it, I think it looks good. I think that, but I do agree that I feel like it's given away way too much. But then again, I feel like a lot of movie trailers these days give away too much. A lot of just trailers give away too much.
So that's my whole, like, this is a new thing that I'm trying of, if I know I'm going to watch a movie, I'm not going to watch the trailer for it. And then I don't waste my time on trailers for movies that I know I'm not going to watch because that's just weird. And so to me, a trailer is supposed to sell you on a movie. Like, it's supposed to make you want to watch a movie. So if it's like, oh, have you heard of, I don't know, like, have you heard of this movie, Happy Death Day? No, you should watch the trailer for it. And then you watch the trailer for it, which I feel like the trailer for Happy Death Day gives too much away, but that's fine.
I don't know what you're talking about. So
it's a horror movie that comes out on Friday the 13th.
Okay.
But because I didn't know
you
about...
You mean today?
Yes. yes.
As of when we're recording?
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, so, but like a movie you haven't heard of. For instance, you haven't heard of it, so I would be like, you should watch a trailer, and then you'd watch a trailer, and maybe you'd be like, oh, Groundhog's Day horror slasher movie style? That sounds like something I'd be interested in. It sold you on it.
Well, the last one I think that happened was for Get Out, where somebody just said, just go see it. Don't watch any trailers. The less you know, the better.
Well,
like,
so yeah, and if somebody tells you that, that's something where I would definitely be like, all right, then I'm not going to watch a trailer. But I will. I do think like trailers are great to sell you on something, but if it's not going to, like, if you don't need to sell me on fucking Star Wars, so I'm not going to watch the trailer for it.
Fair enough.
And then I go in blind, and then hopefully I like it more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of trailers, to sell you on something, we've got a fantastic new live-action trailer for Super Mario.
It's music.
Odyssey.
It's a musical.
Yep. Jump Up Superstar, which is we've actually heard, have you heard this track before?
Yes.
Okay, like the kind of little New Donk City, like 1940s little jazz number.
Yeah, it's got a little like Singing in the Rain to it.
Yeah, and this is one where there's a bunch of people dancing along with Mario on the streets.
Yeah, Mario in a Gap commercial.
Yeah, it really does look like a Gap commercial. It's funny too because the Pauline is singing the song like she has been in just about every other trailer, but this live action trailer is like, but we can't see her face.
Well, is Pauline live action? She's not a live action character though, right? So
not in the game, but in this commercial she is.
Right, so they're not going to show her face because it's not really Pauline. Pauline's a cartoon animated video game character.
I defy anyone out there to look at what that lady's face and go, that's not Pauline, unless she turns
She looks like Carmen Sandiego, Jeff. How do I know it's not Carmen Sandiego?
Because if it was Carmen, first off,
dog had a mustache.
If it was Carmen Sandiego, she'd be wearing a different hat, and she'd also have a much higher collar. Also, you probably have Rockapella there asking you if you knew where she was.
You're right. If they're going to have a musical number with Carmen Sandiego and Rockapella's not there, that'd be the most disappointing thing in the world.
We already thought 2017 was the worst. But then they had a Carmen Sandiego with no Rockapella.
How many people in the comments even know what the hell we're talking about?
What are you even talking about?
Grandpa, stop talking about your own radio dramas.
There is one part here. We saw Mario on the beach before, but apparently...
Is he a dog with a fedora?
There's a dog in a hat that, like, grabs his hat, and I don't know, maybe, like, runs away with it. I gotta say, this game is coming out in like a week and a half or like 2 weeks.
Psyched.
I am really excited for this. Was
Dinosaur.
that Flame? Was that like a little winged lizard guy? Did he have glasses on?
He has glasses on. So smart.
Why does he have glasses on?
They don't even touch his eye. They're not even in front of his
He can't even look through those glasses.
But he's adorable.
Anyway, you can bet your sweet bippy that I'm going to be listening to this song on repeat.
Hell yeah!
Amanda, it really sucks that Nintendo, between the supply shortages and the way that they act about fucking Let's Players on YouTube, if they didn't, they'd be my favorite company right now. If everybody could buy a Switch,
they got to even out the playing field by being slightly shitty.
By being just a little shitty.
Yeah.
Because, like, this looks incredible. I've really enjoyed my Switch so far.
Oh, yeah.
We even missed
John and I are getting a Switch. I'm so excited.
There's a golf RPG on the Switch that I didn't even know came out, and when I found out it was out, I was like, what the fuck? I need to drop everything, go buy
Why didn't anybody tell me about the golf game?
the golf RPG. Anyway, so in addition to this, there was actually a second trailer that was from Japan. And this one was all mostly gameplay footage, and we saw a couple of interesting things. There's
outfits, so many beach outfits.
There's a giant underwater like dinosaur in a top hat.
Yeah, it's a fancy occasion, Jeff.
There's like a skull, like a caveman outfit that I haven't seen before, but it has a Koopa skull on the top of it.
It's kind of
I think what the land with the
is that straight up like American tourist outfit?
Oh yeah, well that's one of the ones that I feel like he was.
It's adorable.
Dressed in that on the cover of something.
Oh my god, so many cosplay opportunities.
There's a Goombas in Santa hats.
Yeah, it's Christmas time.
Is it? And then he runs into a tortoise. He's got
a
little
cowboy
spikes in his nose. He's a cowboy. He's going into Treasure Land. Boy, howdy. Fucking Mario. This looks excellent. And, like, it's funny because I think Super Mario 3D World on the Wii U, I believe, was the last, like, new console Mario game. And, like, that was the Dick Bees, right? That was, like, year one of Rage Select, I think. So
you can't just say that's the Dick Bees. I wasn't 100% sure what you were talking about. And I thought maybe that's, like, the new, like, the tits or, like, the bee's knees.
Yeah.
You're like, that right there is the Dick Bees.
That is the Dick Bees, my friend. Wow, I can't wait to play this game. Woo, it's the Dick Bees. Let me tell you what else is the Dick Bees, and that is that Nintendo is upping their Switch production so that everybody can get one.
Yeah, because me and John are going to get one.
Yeah, by 2 million units per month, which is great. I think that, again, as I said before, they're a little slow. Like, it's weird because in one way, I wish that the Nintendo had like an American, like, forward-thinking futurist to kind of push stuff like their online service and their production and like responses to things like that. You know, they're re-releasing they're making more units of the SNES Classic. I'm like, that's great.
Right.
Why did it take you like 4 months to tell us that? Why wasn't it at a boardroom where people are like, look at Twitter, and they're like, fuck, make more, and it's like, okay, good.
What's a Twitter?
Right. I am not unconvinced that phrase has not been uttered in Nintendo HQ.
Probably.
What is a Twitter? But that's great, and that's great because it's just in time for Christmas. So even if you're old like me, you could ask your grandparents,
or Sandy
regular
Claus.
parents, or Santa Claus, or the holiday armadillo, whatever you got, to get you a Switch for Christmas. Save up those Amazon cards that your aunts give you, and then like put them together with that bonus from work, and then like when your friend bought you that DVD, say, hey, do you mind if I like take this back and get a refund, and then like put that all together?
It's like, why would I even watch Cannonball Run 2? I don't have Cannonball Run 1.
That's
I'm going to sell it back.
The second one's better. Don't even bother with the first one. And then you added $50, boom, you got yourself a Nintendo Switch. And I think the Nintendo Switch has had a wonderful year between ARMS, Zelda, Mario and Rabbids. I mean,
yeah,
these are just like the upper tier ones,
Mario
right?
Kart.
And Mario Kart, and then Super Mario Odyssey, and then Fire Emblem Warriors is coming out before the year is out, I believe. And Xenosaga 2 will be out in December. Like, it's a great time. Like, this is great because it's barely been a year, and Nintendo got their shit together. They put out a bunch of games that were interesting and cool.
Who would have thought?
Well, not me from the Wii U. Like, the Wii, they were catering to fucking babies and grandmas, and the Wii U, they were just like, eh.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Should we put some? Nah.
It's fine.
Nah. 2 games a year. Nah. All right. Well, from here, we are going to jump into a section that I like to call, oh, man, that's a bummer. First up, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in the questions section. But this week has been a big week for loot boxes. So between Shadow of War came out this week with the Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta. Recently, we've had Forza, we've had NBA 2K18, I believe, a couple other things. Loot boxes are everywhere. Single-player games, multiplayer games, just everywhere. And one of the things that has been brought up, and I watched Jim Sterling, he's been on this for like a month and a half, is that that loot boxes are a way to basically like allow somebody who's not old enough to gamble. Like that you're tapping that gambling like Skinner box euphoria kind of like chance reflex in people that are technically not old enough to be able to know any better, or people that potentially have a gambling problem in a video game as opposed to in a casino where they know, before they walk in, I shouldn't go in there. Well, this week, the ESRB, the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, I believe, who puts the M's and the AOs, well, mostly just M's and T's on games, and E for everyone, announced that in their opinion, loot boxes are not gambling. This is important because if a game actually had a gambling feature in it that you could put real-world money into, it would make any game that had that feature an AO instead of whatever else it is. It would bump it up into an adults-only category, which, as we all know, is a problem because, like, GameStop, well, I think maybe GameStop will, but, like, Walmart and Target and Best Buy or whatever, they don't carry AO games because most AO games, I don't even think anybody makes them anymore, but, like, back when there were a few of them, they were just, like, porno or, like, brutal violence.
Yeah.
And now you just download that shit off the internet because that's what it's for. Their statement is actually kind of interesting because it says, while there is an element of chance in these mechanics, the player is always guaranteed to receive an in-game content, even if the player unfortunately receives something they don't want. We think of it as a similar principle to collecting collectible card games. Sometimes you'll open a pack and get a brand new holographic card you've had your eye on, but other times you'll end up with a pack of cards you already have. And it is an interesting distinction to say that no matter what you get in the pack, you do get something.
Yeah.
Like in Overwatch, even if you get a dupe, you get money for that, and even if you didn't get the Halloween Zenyatta skin.
5 coins.
Yeah.
What am I getting? 5 coins at a time for a 3,000 coined thing?
Up your fucking money game.
Yeah.
I saved up for the entirety of Overwatch, and then I cashed it in on that Grillmaster 76 skin.
Yeah.
Like
I just happened to win a skin yesterday I got a Hanzo's last year's Halloween skin. I was so happy.
Let me sell them, maybe. Let me sell them back. Like if I get one that I don't like, if I don't care about Hanzo's bullshit skin, let me sell it back for $500 or something.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing to think about because it does differentiate between gambling where you can literally just lose and get nothing, and this type of economy. I'm going to get into it more because we got a question about it. I don't know. Do you have any real thoughts about this?
I don't see it as gambling. I could see the gambling element to it. Like it would probably trigger the same like shit in your brain of like the risk and the reward stuff.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree with what they're saying that it is like just buying a pack. I think it's risky with where you, because like Overwatch, you can't pay real money for that shit.
Yes, you can.
Can you? Because I was trying to.
You have to go to like outside to the PlayStation Store, and I believe that you can buy them directly on the PlayStation Store.
Oh, see, I mean like in game, because like anything that's more than that sounds too difficult for me.
Yeah,
but otherwise, I kind of feel like it's more the parents' responsibility to not let your shitty kid put your shitty stuff on, like spend money on your card. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if it's for younger people. If we're concerned about, like...
You buy 2 Halloween loot boxes for $2.
No, I don't want to buy a loot box. I want to buy just the fucking skin
5
pack.
Halloween loot box for $5. No, that's kind of the insidious thing, though, right?
That's a goddamn bargain.
Well, the other thing that I have is that, call me terrible, right? Like you're going to, but...
$40 for 50 loot boxes. I 100% appreciate that. Because if I were going to pay $40 and get 50 loot boxes, if I didn't get that fucking Zenyatta skin,
I'm going to go to Blizzard.
I would literally pick up John's PlayStation and throw it out the balcony into the pool.
No, do you know? I mean, there are YouTube channels where all they'll do when a new thing like this comes out is they'll basically buy that and then just sit there on a live stream. Open loot boxes, open loot boxes, open loot boxes.
That's like crack to me.
Well, there you go. So maybe
no, but like I don't know. Because it just you have to go into the PlayStation Store as opposed to in a lot of games, I always feel like you can see the buy it here. Just click this extra button. You know what I mean?
I think my problem is that I've never actually gotten anything I want out of a loot box in Overwatch ever, so I don't care anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I have. I've definitely lucked out on that.
I wanted that Grillmaster one, but all right, next up on oh boy, or whatever we were calling it.
I don't know. The name changes.
Yeah, next up on shit. So Epic Games put out this game called Fortnite. We played it a little bit on Rage Select on one of the dojos. It's basically kind of like a Minecraft meets tower defense. So it's like you're building a base and then defending it against zombie hordes.
Yeah, I remember.
Okay, so apparently there are two dudes out in North Carolina by the names of Brandon and Charles who created a piece of software that allows people to go in and cheat in Fortnite, getting extra whatever, blah, blah, blah. I didn't go that far into it. And Epic, instead of trying to patch it out, because people do that shit for Overwatch all the time, they're suing
Bastards.
them to the tune of $150,000.
Wow!
For basically taking away profits, because this game also has an in-game store where you can buy stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting. I personally. It's a bit of a slippery slope, but I fucking hate cheaters in video games so much. I hate them.
Yeah.
I hate them so much. They
make the game less fun, but does it affect other people's? Because I'm trying to think. Fortnite is single player, right? It's not.
No, you go on. Most of it's online. You go online and play with other people, create groups, create bases and bunkers and stuff like that.
Okay, but you're playing as a team and not against each other, so it wouldn't make.
I actually think that they just announced a PlayerUnknown Battleground style thing in it. I don't really keep up with Fortnite, so mostly this is, I don't know. But
when cheaters ruin other players' experiences,
I think they should be punched in the ball sack. I think they should be punched right in the ball sack. So, it may set kind of a weird precedent, but I'd honestly rather have, I don't know. I mean,
lawsuit just seems a little extreme.
I guess so, but to be honest, I just have zero sympathy for somebody who ha 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 ha, and they're making these guys are actually making this software and then distributing it. So it's not like going after. It's not like you downloaded the software and you're playing and they're like $150,000.
Yeah,
they're going after the people that went into their code and literally went around it to give people tools to cheat in their game,
like Robin Hood.
No, not even.
They stole from the rich. They gave to the poor video gamers.
I guess.
Stand up, anarchy!
It's a free-to-play game, but I guess.
Yeah, I think, especially because it's a free-to-play game, maybe.
I think it's free-to-play. I'm pretty sure.
Well, we played it for free.
Actually, I bought it, I think.
Then how is it a free-to-play game, Jeffrey?
Because before it came out, they had that dumb early access where you can buy it for $20, and then when it comes out, it's free.
Then you made the wrong decision.
And I got to be able to play the game before it comes out. Next up on... This is less of a bad thing and more of a okay, well that's cool. So apparently there's a popular franchise of game called the Ys games. YS is what it's called. It's JRPGs. And in Ys 8 Lacrimosa of Dana on the PS4 and the Vita, apparently there's been an extremely the company that put this out outsourced the translation of it to a company that was not their normal translator, and what they got back was so laughable that they're basically redoing the entire translation for a giant JRPG. The example in this article is that area names like the crevice of the Archaeozoic era were changed to much more awkward, like Archaeozoic Big Hole. So
I think we should play this game as is.
There's even a screenshot on this Game Informer article that has a dialogue, and this dialogue literally reads, "Do something about this, comma, if I am ever in need of assistance, question mark." And now I feel like I'm playing Karma Sutra all over again.
That was so great in the sense that it was horrible and stole my soul a little bit.
Next up, you know what? I don't normally talk about these sorts of things on the podcast, but I'm going to take a real brief thing because this one's too stupid for even me to not talk about and directly related to video games.
Okay, I'm in.
So last week, Bethesda literally
Oh my God.
tweeted this thing that said, make America Nazi-free again, hashtag no more Nazis, hashtag Wolf2. This was a brief trailer, a 13-second thing for Wolfenstein 2, The New Order. I haven't actually watched it. And it says, not my America, and it's got a bunch of Nazis walking down the street. Now, poor Bethesda probably didn't think that they were going to be living in a day where we're having discussions about like the rights of people to walk down the streets and sing Heil and like, you know, carry a flag and bullshit. But apparently, to this tweet,
oddly controversial to be anti-Nazis.
I'm just going to take a real brief, quick stand here and say that if your response to this was like, you fucking SJW libtards need to stop pushing your agenda down my throat, it's a game franchise about shooting Nazis.
Yeah.
All right? It's been a game franchise about shooting Nazis.
Yeah.
It continues to be a game franchise about shooting Nazis.
Yeah.
If you got a problem with Nazis getting shot, why are you signed up to see the tweets for this account? Like, I would figure that you're already somewhere else on some other corner of the internet. Now, I do think...
like a shitty corner, like a dark room corner where you don't watch anything where anyone punches a Nazi. You can't even watch The fucking Rocketeer. What's wrong with you people?
Yeah, oh, man, I didn't even think about that.
Indiana Jones punches a Nazi.
There's a lot of Nazi punching in fiction. Captain America, you know. Anyway, I don't entirely understand the impulse of somebody to be like, stop pushing your agenda. It was a game about killing Nazis last year. Yeah. It's a game about killing Nazis back as far as you can go. Like, maybe the whole make America Nazi free again, but like, if that's setting you off, I'm just gonna say, buddy, you're gonna have to get over that.
Yeah.
Because fucking I'm a fucking special snowflake libtard, right? And even I'm making thanks Obama jokes on my thing, right? We spent 8 years making fun of George W. Bush as he ran the country. You're going to have to be able to deal with a make fucking rage select great again joke from time to time.
I'm neither liberal nor conservative, but I am a huge believer in everything can be made fun of. And this falls right into that fucking category.
Sure enough.
That you can use it to parody whatever you want, and it makes logistical sense. It's just where's the anger coming from?
I also think that in most of the articles that I saw, it was like the same 6 tweets back to the person.
Yeah.
And this very well was probably an instance where I feel like it's really easy these days to put up a thing.
Fabricate the news.
Right, and then you find, like, especially if you've got something that, you know, the Wolfenstein 2 account has 60,000 followers. If you tweet something and find 8 people that are just like, stupid shit, and then you're like, oh, people are really upset about my popcorn website, you know, which...
It's just naked pictures of you with popcorn.
That's what it's always meant to be. That's the dream.
There's too much butter on the popcorn if you're going to be naked. For God's sakes, use less butter.
Not enough butter. More butter.
Pour more butter.
Pour more butter on the popcorn. So anyway, I think the Wolfenstein 2 looks great. The only thing I can't figure out is why they're putting it out like a week and a half after The Evil Within 2. They're both Bethesda games. Why are you putting 2 of your games like up against each other?
Because they want you to prove who you love more.
Anyway, let's talk. Oh wait, hold on. I've got. Oh shit. Okay. No, I had some more things, but my news got out of order. So
you're out of whack.
I'm a little bit out of whack. So let's finish up the crap parade, and then we can talk. Oh man, no, there's a lot of crap parade left to go. Okay. You remember that game about the lady and the cat in the village, the Swery 65 game?
Yes.
Okay, that was being crowdfunded on Fig.
Yeah. You forced me to watch the trailer, I believe.
Yes, I did. I think that you might have watched the They Become Dogs at Night trailer instead of cats. So anyway, here's the thing. It's not going to make it. It's $500,000. They're looking for $1.5 million. But it does bring up an interesting thing because Swery wrote a blog post about this, and one of the things that he talked about was how it's really hard to attempt to kickstart a thing and then withhold information because you want to surprise players with what the game's going to be about. So he was talking about that he felt like a lot of people just didn't understand what the game was actually going to be, because the trailers were very coy, because he wanted you to go in, like you were talking about with movie trailers, and be like, isn't this some kind of cat? Oh, what is this? This is a murder mystery go-kart puzzle nudity game? I don't know. What?
Yeah.
So...
tell me more about that game.
It's called Super Mario Boob Kart. No,
I'm in. We've definitely played that on Patreon.
I believe so. By the way, if you're not a patron, you're missing out on a lot of
titties.
whack ass titty games. I believe is the way that the Watts, as I call them from here on out, the whack ass titty games. So anyway, pour one out for this. I hope that it gets funded somewhere else, because
or he finds a way to make that work.
I really do. I really do. All right, next up, this is one that kind of caught me off guard, but okay, so the Xbox One X is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
All right. As you all may have remembered, the Xbox One shipped with a piece of hardware that most of you probably have sitting underneath your entertainment center right now or in a closet. It's called the Kinect 2.0, and nobody uses it for jack shit anymore, not even for, like, turning on. Well, I'm sure somebody's using it for, like, Xbox launch whack-ass titty channel. But the Xbox One S, the Xbox One Slim that came out, did not come with a Kinect, but you could still attach your Kinect to it using a dongle that you could basically get for free from Microsoft. Now the Xbox One X is coming out, and if you would like to connect your Kinect,
you got to pay for that dongle.
$40.
$40 for a dongle?
$40. Which, considering, this is one of those things that I don't like. This is like when Microsoft did that shit with the HD DVD player. Like, do you remember the Xbox 360? There was the whole war between the PS3 as a Blu-ray and the Xbox 360 as HD DVD.
Yeah. They backed the wrong pony.
That was fine, right?
Yeah.
But eventually, there was a system update on the Xbox 360 that literally made it incompatible with the 360. So, like, if you had HD DVDs and an HD DVD player, eventually there was a Microsoft system update that was just like, not anymore, you don't.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things where, you charged me for a fucking Kinect. I don't know. They spent so long shoving that thing in people's faces. I would have liked if they would have tried a little bit harder, but, then again, I never miss an opportunity to make fun of the Kinect because
it was balls.
It was kind of balls.
It was whack-ass balls.
Next up, hey, do you like to look at pictures of real-world people who have died?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay, well then you
24/7, doing it right now. You
should not be playing the latest episode of Batman: The Enemy Within, because apparently there was an uncensored, just straight-up like picture of a Russian ambassador who was assassinated. That was just straight up in the game.
Why?
How?
I
don't entirely know.
Why does that make
sense? So what it says is the second episode contained an edited version of a real-life photo portraying the body of, who is this? Andrei Karlov, who was shot dead in December of 2016. From that wording, I'm starting to wonder if it was like a reference thing that then like the wrong layer in Photoshop got put out, like they were using that picture as reference to do art from or something, and then it somehow made it back into the game. But you know what? They're patching it out, so you guys...
So it don't matter anyway.
Yeah, you don't have to look at pictures of dead people.
I'm looking it up.
Don't. Why are you looking it up? Amanda immediately picks at her. Oh, jeez. Well,
did I not say I fucking like looking at these pictures?
You did. Well, speaking of dead things, let's take a brief moment to talk about Cliffy B's game Lawbreakers. So, according to this NeoGAF thread that I was reading last week, apparently last week on Steam, there were 10 people worldwide playing Lawbreakers.
Wow. A whole 10 people?
Yeah.
That's double what I was expecting.
I'm not entirely sure, as somebody in this thread pointed out, why Lawbreakers didn't... I mean, it seems like everything's got an audience for a little while, but I guess when you're going up against the likes of Overwatch and Battlefield 1 and fucking just all these crazy multiplayer games, you got to bring it harder than Lawbreakers did.
Yeah.
So...
I honestly think because it was too long. Like, each match was too long. It just felt like it was just...
It felt a little unpolished, too, right? Like, I don't know. I guess...
It was like... There were a lot of really good pieces, and then it would just... You just drag, and there wasn't a lot going on.
I felt like it needed to either be, like, for the most super hardcore Quake players, or for, like, us... Well, not... I won't count you there.
dare you?
The baby town frolics of playing Overwatch. You know, one or the other, not both.
Yeah.
And speaking of games that aren't doing all that well, man and I have just stopped playing Agents of Mayhem, but you know what? It's 66% off on Steam right now.
Wow.
And that's less than, what, like 3 months since it came out? When was August. So this is June, July, August, September, October.
That's 3 months. We're like
two and a half.
Yeah.
That's pretty severe. It's down to $20 for...
It's worth it for $20.
I think it's worth playing for $20. It's just, boy howdy, like...
Yeah, that's kind of a bummer, but...
Man, I really wish that game would have worked. It just puts us further and further away from Saints Row 5.
Mm-hmm.
That's really all I want to play.
Should have pushed harder. They should have pushed it a little bit harder.
That's true. But that's all the bummer news we have, so let's roll on to something that's not so much of a bummer. We got another trailer this week for Need for Speed Payback. This is the official story trailer.
Ooh.
And it's got a lot of really interesting-looking characters and also the blandest, whitest dude I've ever seen in the world. And I think his name is like Tyler or Tucker or like Trim Job or something.
So the entire time I watched this trailer, and it's funny because of what you just said, that character looks dead on like my brother.
Oh, really? Okay.
So
your
who is not white, by the way, but he looks, and like I look white as fuck, and my brother looks white as fuck, but he dresses like that too, so it's like dead on my brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because this trailer looks like the coolest game I've ever played in my life, but I know it's a racing game. So, like, how much of this, like, going underneath a helicopter blade and nearly missing, like, a semi-truck could actually be in the game? And, like, if you do hit the helicopter blade, do you then just get last place in the race, and then you've got to do the race over again?
Is it like a race with, like, some real-time events to make it more epic and like cinematic?
I don't think so. I think that what we're looking at here is a collection of cinematics from the story mode of the game, and then some incredibly staged race moments. I think that your standard match in this is going to just be race, because I feel like Need for Speed has this weird identity problem where, like, after Need for Speed The Run and a few of the other ones, like, they kind of want it. Like, this is so Fast and the Furious it makes my fucking teeth hurt, right? Yeah. But it's very fast. It's very furious.
There's no Vin Diesel. Then what is the point?
It's too fast and too furious.
Yeah.
But the problem...
Not enough Tokyo drifting.
The problem here is that you've got, like, Grand Theft Auto, and then you've got, like, Gran Turismo. Mm-hmm. And different people play those games. And I don't know... Like, this might work if it had something like... There was a game called The Wheelman where you could literally, like, bash your car into other people's... Like, with the right stick, you could just slam your car into other cars and, like, knock them off the road and stuff. Yeah. That would work, but then, you know, when they were at E3, they had a whole section of where they were talking about, here's how you can find, like, scrapped up cars in the world and restore them to, like, vintage new condition. I'm just like, well, that part I don't give a fuck about. Like, I give a fuck about this crime story where there's, like, houses on fire and, like, people are getting fucked over and, it's a double cross. We're getting all the
cops.
You got
that, like, Gone in 60 Seconds planning some kind of heist in a warehouse shit.
Yeah. So I'm really confused. This trailer... so let me boil it down. This trailer looks exciting. I don't think this game is going to be anything like this. What this trailer is making it look like, because it's making it look like Grand Theft Auto.
But this goes towards my trailers are supposed to sell you on something, and that's exactly what it did.
Yep, I was actually sold by the first trailer. So
I don't remember the first trailer.
Bunch
of fucking cars.
Was it
the one with the car?
It was no. It was like straight up. It was like straight up Gone or straight up Fast and Furious, where like. They were stealing a car and then, like, driving it away. And
Doesn't
then, like, trying
matter
to get
if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning.
Family.
We just went through 6 movies for you guys.
Boom! You don't got to watch any of them! Oh, also, The Rock breaks out of a cast in one of them and shoots a minigun.
Yeah,
which is worth watching all by itself.
One of the trailers had him take a missile and turn it with his hands.
Yep.
And then it went the other way.
Those movies are great. What else is great is Never Stop Sneaking. And I would not be surprised if you had not heard of this game, because
I hadn't.
This is a game by the guy who made Dust and Elysian Tale, which I feel like some people are going to hear and go, oh, yeah. And some people are going to be like, the fuck?
Yeah.
it's a ninja Metroidvania game about, and everybody was like an anthropomorphic animal.
Yeah. Maybe like a fox or something.
None of them were like any actual animals. They were all just like furry amalgams.
Yeah.
Jason and I
Cat-dog-ish.
shat on it quite a bit. But the people that liked it really liked it. This, on the other hand, looks like it is a total and complete send-up of Metal Gear Solid. All the presidents have been kidnapped by this evil guy and his
vice president helicopter,
and Dr. Acula. And I got to say, any game, movie, song, TV show, comic book, or road sign, or anything that is willing to make the Dr. Acula joke, I'm in, man. I fucking that
really easy to sell. Jeff
that is the Bee Jizz right there. Like that is
Dick Bees.
That is the Dick Bees right there. Because the Dr. Acula is such a stupid joke. I feel like you got caught with it once when you were like 4, and then you were like Dr. Acula. Oh right. And I like the way he says Dr. Acula.
I think he's a vampire.
I think he's probably a vampire. And Vice President Helicopter.
Who is a helicopter.
Who's a helicopter. So this is a little sneaky game, and it looks like it's probably procedurally generated, possibly. It's got a very like a PlayStation 1 style. Like they have these kind of gritty character models that don't have any lip movements, which I feel like is a direct homage to Metal Gear Solid. It looks pretty fun. The only downside is that right now, I believe, at least, it's only been announced for Nintendo Switch. So, another reason to buy a Nintendo Switch.
Get a fucking Nintendo Switch, you sillies.
I don't know if this is like if you're interested in this but nothing else. Well, okay,
there's something wrong with you.
That you gotta let people be.
No, I refuse. There's something wrong with you.
You gotta let people do what they want to do, Amanda. Anyway, that's Never Stop Sneaking, and I think
Never Stop Sneaking.
Yeah, it's also got a nice Snake Eater reprise, so there's that too. Finally, let's wrap it up with a couple of quick things. Oculus had their thing this week, and they announced a $200 thing called the Oculus Go, which is a basically standalone Oculus tech that is just a headset that is wireless and a little pad that you can use to control stuff. I think this is essentially a Gear VR, but just without a cell phone. Like, I actually bought a Gear VR because I got a new cell phone and it works with it.
Yeah.
And that it's like you just slide your cell phone into this headset and boom, you're good to go.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a cool thing depending on how much use you're able to get out of it. $200 is a pretty low price point, so if you could use that just to watch movies or porno or porn movies or
like everything that you would ever want it for,
right? So if you're looking for something to watch porn movies on and you don't want your
I know I am tell me more.
Nothing has really been announced.
There's gotta be a better way.
There's gotta be a better way. Why does it have to be so complicated? But I think this is pretty cool, and I think I would definitely look into seeing. That's the sort of price point of a thing where you can, if it gets really good reviews and it has support for 6 months, it's probably not the sort of thing I want to buy on day one, but if it comes out, everybody's like, yeah, it's good. Maybe eventually, down
the line,
put your Christmas money in there. And
when I become a Rockefeller.
There you go. And last but not least, I always like to end with a little up note. Is it something funny or something cool? Remember Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice?
Yeah, John is obsessively playing through that game.
There you go. So on October 10th, which was 3 days ago from this recording and several days ago, they basically announced that all of the proceeds they got from the game on that day, they were going to give to the World Rethink Mental Illness, an organization devoted to improving the lives of those affected with mental illness, because it was World Mental Health Day on October 10th.
Nice.
And that's a really cool thing to do.
That's very cool.
Especially considering...
They're like, we made $4, sorry.
Well, especially considering that it's such a small company and that it was a very small... It was like a small development staff. I think that Hellblade is a wonderful example to just trot out whenever you need to. Whenever anybody is like, games have to be fucking $160, and you're just like,
nope,
that was like $30.
Yeah,
and it looked great.
It was beautiful. The gameplay was amazing. The storytelling was awesome.
I'll be honest, I'd be more happy.
10 out of 10.
I'd be more happy playing a $60 game that lasted for 10 hours and was awesome than I would paying $60 in a season pass and a bunch of loot boxes for a game that's 145 hours and I just don't have much time. Anyway, I said I was going to keep it 45 minutes, and now we're at 55 minutes, so we're going to take a break.
Yay.
When we come back, we're going to answer questions, so stick around. We will see you then. And we're back. And before I tell you what the email address is to send your questions into, think of Amanda and us both, from both of us to all of you out there in TV land. Fuck fire ants.
Yeah.
Just fuck them. I got my legs got all crapped up this weekend. I got a bunch of fucking horrible pustules breaking out all over because fire ants are a garbage thing.
Yep.
And screw them. So. MailerRich.com is the email address.
That was a beautiful story. Thank you.
Our first question, well, I wanted to tell a more funnier parable, but we don't have time.
Yeah.
We don't have time.
The point is, fire ants. Ah!
Fuck
That was the whole story.
Yeah. The source comes in from Ricky J. Ricky J says, greetings to you, immortal rage pimps and such. This is Ricky J on the site, patron and longtime listener from the fabled lands of killer animals in Hugh Jackman, Australia. It's a very long question, but we're going to get through it.
Uh-huh.
These past few weeks, I've heard several YouTubers voice their disgust at the implementation of microtransactions, specifically loot boxes, in no less than 5 AAA games, which are either released or will be released this year. Here's a quick rundown. NBA 2K18, Shadow of War, Forza 7, Assassin's Creed, Battlefront 2. There's a description for each one of these, but I feel like everybody kind of knows.
Yeah.
With all that in mind, I've been feeling much more cynical about the AAA gaming market as it exists today. It also got me thinking, with games like Hellblade and Divinity Original Sin 2 receiving significant positive reception from critics and gamers alike, it seems to be almost a novelty now that there can be games that are complete products with no BS, DLC, no paywalls, and no microtransactions. Here's my question. Get your tinfoil hats ready. Do you guys think that this new indie AAA or faux AAA model could become the new mainstay in the near future? Could the AAA industry become so bloated and full of shit that gamers abandon it out of frustration and or practicality? If microtransactions and loot boxes become more and more intrusive and exploitative, could the community in general say, fuck you, I'm not paying $60 for half a game anymore? Is this just wishful thinking? Have we gone too far? Will our heroes get out of this mess? Find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. Sorry for the long question, but this issue has been bothering me for a few weeks. I'm really interested to hear your take on it. Love what you guys and gals do. Keep it up. With much love, but just friend love, Ricky J.
I friend love you too, Ricky J.
I don't understand these human emotions. What do you think, Amanda?
I don't hate loot boxes.
Okay.
When it's for shit that's not important to gameplay. Mm-hmm. If it's skins, if it's like just using because I'm so fucking obsessed with it right now, just using Overwatch as an example.
Sure.
If it's skins and voice lines and sprays, I don't particularly care. Because if you're like, fuck you for charging me money for that, I mean, they're not unless you choose to pay money for that, in which case, like, who cares? If you don't care about loot boxes, then don't fucking worry about it.
Yeah.
But if they're doing anything that's like content, I have a little more issue with that. Like, I think Agents of Mayhem would have been a better game for us if Johnny Gat was just a playable character, not a downloadable character.
Well, that
or not a DLC character.
That dovetails very nicely into a thing that Matt and I talked about, but I've been thinking about for a couple of weeks. About this and about Shadow of War. Because for the record, I've been having a fucking great time with Shadow of War. Like,
Snackbox showed up yet?
No, but I don't know. There's a piece of software I need to get him into my game, and I don't know where it is. It's not DLC for the first game, and like there's a little lock on the marketplace for this new one, and I'm just like, I don't know. I want him in there.
Do you though? Because he tortured you for like 3 times. He would not
trust me. I will let him torture me all the live long day, and I will get him in my army. I will get him in my army and make him serve the bright Lord. I love it so much when you dominate the orcs.
Yeah.
Because Celebrimbor says a bunch of different things, but I love it when he just says, "Suffer me now," and it's like, "You're in my squad, bitch."
That's how my last relationship started.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the guy put his hand on your face.
Suffer me now, and I'm like, I guess we're dating.
Okay. Let's get back. All right, here's the deal. These are my thoughts about loot boxes in general. Number one, I don't think that a $60 game should have. I don't think a single player game. I think that what you said is correct. I think that if it's something like Overwatch or if it's something like something cosmetic, I don't really have that big a deal with loot boxes because they don't really impact the gameplay all that much. That being said, putting loot boxes in Overwatch was probably the first step towards getting loot boxes into the entire rest of these games that we're seeing because people put up with it, and Overwatch was a very successful and well-regarded game.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, as I said, I want to really, really, really hammer this down. We, the video game buying public, this is just the end of bullshit that we've been putting up with and encouraging the game industry to do for a long time.
Yeah, this is the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot of shit under the water that we're...
The reason that I'm not, like, incensed about this is because we let this happen. Yeah. We let them charge us $10 for DLC story content, for add-on content that should have probably been in the game to begin with. We let us charge us $90 for the collector's edition that people bought. Look, I cannot even look, I understand, I totally do, but people will buy a season pass, sight unseen DLC.
Yeah.
Like, no information whatsoever, but just like, I talked to a guy at a bar that was like a week before Arkham Knight came out. He was like, yeah, I bought the $90 version that has like the season pass in with it because I'd already know I'm going to want all that DLC. No, you don't.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you've gone to show you've gone to show
it doesn't matter because you're going to pay before you know.
Right.
To me, pre-order DLC is worse than loot boxes.
Yeah.
Because especially like most games, loot boxes are earned through the game. Like you can
earn them or you can buy them.
You go up a rank or you get in-game currency where you can buy them or whatever.
Right.
Which to me is kind of fine. If that's a part of the gameplay, that's a part of the gameplay. But when they're like, no, you have to spend money before the game comes out so you can get this additional thing. Sometimes it's like a character you really want, and it's bullshit that you're not going to get that fucking character, or like a level that you should have already, but you're not going to get unless you pre-order bonus it specifically at this one store months in advance, and then you just are shit out of luck with that money.
I'd like to point out, for the record, let me hold on for just a second here while I get my ducks in a row, because I want to make sure that this comes across absolutely flawlessly. In the year of our Lord 2012, when I don't think Rage Select was even a thing yet, Mass Effect 3 came out. Mass Effect 3 does everything that we're talking about. Mass Effect 3 held a very important plot character behind day one DLC that you had to get by buying the game new.
A hugely important character.
Hugely important.
Yeah.
It also hid the best ending behind a multiplayer mode that if you wanted to accelerate that multiplayer mode, you needed to buy randomized boxes full of soldiers that would let you go through that faster. And people were upset about the ending.
Yeah.
People were more upset about the ending than they were about any of that horse shit. When Oblivion originally put out their first Horse Armor DLC that did nothing and was just cosmetic and cost $5, I had the people that because I was working retail at the time, and I worked with some gamers. One guy was kind of a weirdo, hardcore gamer. And we didn't work in retail. We worked in a warehouse, so we just talked all day and like kind of prep stuff. We got into like some screaming matches because I'm like, this is the beginning. If they know that you'll buy stuff that is not included in the game,
they're going to start charging you for everything.
They're going to start taking things out of the game and charging you for them.
Every character is going to be in their chonies unless you pay extra to put clothes on them.
There are some of those whack-ass titty games that we've played that do that. Galgun had like a $70 DLC that would make all of the characters' boobs either bigger or smaller.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fucked up. But the thing is,
like, what are the other? Can you get like a mix pack? Pay like a little more, but then you get like a couple have bigger boobies and some have. So I want a variety of boobs.
This is for catering to a very specific person. But I feel like we all need to calm down a little bit here, because there are games out there that will let you buy a pack of weapons that are more powerful than what you get in the game normally. There's plenty of pre-order stuff that would give you equipment that you really shouldn't have before, like later on in the game, as a pre-order bonus or to give you whatever. This this shit's been going on for a long time, and we've let it get to here because for every person that goes into the comment section is like, well, season passes, I already know I'm going to buy all the maps, but I just wanted, I just have the money now and blah, blah, blah. I understand your rationale, but what you're saying to these companies is that they can get your money off of you without actually presenting you with a good value proposition.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as I also said, I think that we're in a bad situation because let's say that everybody boycotted Shadow of War because it has loot boxes and we're not going to put up with this shit anymore. Monolith would go out of business. Warner Brothers, who almost certainly made Monolith do this, would not go out of business.
Yeah.
I don't even think they'd blink an eyelid. They'd just be like, whatever, we didn't sell that video game. Like, let's keep...
Do they have to do those loot boxes? Are they required? Like, do you have to open those bitches up or buy them? Like, do they carry things that are 100% relevant? What if everyone just didn't buy them? So then they go, we put these loot boxes in, and we see literally a $0 profit off of them.
Okay, so that's a whole other thing. But in the case of Shadow of War, as I understand it, and to be honest, I haven't looked into this 100%. I'm going off of a comment on Rage Select because I don't want to dig into this. But somebody said that before you get to the very end of the game, or even after the last mission of the game, there's basically another area or game mode or something. John was also talking to me, but I don't want specifics because I like playing the game.
Yeah.
That opens up, and it's like another 8 hours worth of video game if you just play it, and it's like a third of that amount of time if you just buy your way through it with like epic legendary loot, because what you're trying to do is get a higher tier of loot to beat this next part of the game. And you can do that by either playing the game for a long period of time, or you can...
So are you literally buying yourself out of game time?
Yes. But the person on the website who I'm very sorry that I don't remember who this was. Let me see if I can look him up while I'm saying this, because I know what I'm going to say, and I want to give him some credit.
Yeah.
They compared it to Arkham Knight. How after you beat Arkham Knight, if you 100% everything, there's like a 3-minute extra cutscene that you get, but that it doesn't actually it's not actually a huge problem.
The images that get posted on the comment section.
This was Zero who said this. So, okay. So my thoughts on that are, I like playing Shadow of War. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, if there's an extra 8 hours of Shadow of War that I can get through, or that I can play to get this better ending, I want to play more because I enjoy just straight up playing Shadow of War. Like, you don't need to have all the Dark Lord Galadriel's fucking Shelob's a sexy lady now, blah, 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 blah stuff, right? I just enjoy straight up running into crazy orcs. I ran into a guy today that was like Groflog the joke teller, and he was funny.
Yeah.
He was a funny orc. I wanted him so bad, but he got killed, and I was just like, oh. So I've had all of these little, this game is so good at all these little mini story up and down beats that, if it's like, oh, you're going to see another 40 orcs in this other mode, I'm like, great. I love these guys. I ran into an orc yesterday that had a hype man where he came out and he was just like, you will be destroyed, and there was another little orc next to it that was just like, yeah, this boss don't take no shit from nobody, and I was like, I love these guys. So that doesn't excuse it doesn't make it less shitty, but what it does for me is say that, I likened it to, because I was thinking further, let's say there's a JRPG, and I've got a lot of JRPGs where I get about 2/3 of the way through the JRPG, and then I really start hitting that back half slump. I'm just like, oof, I just want this one to be over. So if there was a way in some JRPGs that I could just be like, I'd like to buy my way out of the combat and just do the story, because the combat's going to involve a lot of random battles to power up to get to this boss or to get your ultimate weapon. And if I can just be like, just give me all the ultimate weapons. What is it, $5? Okay, I'm all. If it's 20 hours of gameplay that I'm not really super interested in, or I can spend $5, get all the weapons, and go, that's all right. But unfortunately, that's not exactly what's going on here. But to go back to it again, as a game, as a culture, we've done this to ourselves, and I don't think that we should be too surprised. I do think that there's a potential with Forza and NBA 2K18 that literally like your story progression like through the game goes way slower if you don't buy any of those boxes.
Yeah.
Like you have to earn the boxes with in-game currency, or you can buy them with real world money, but like you have to use them to go forward. In Shadow of War, I haven't run it. I mean, I'm only like 8-10 hours in the game, but like I haven't run into a single situation where I've ever felt the need to go get a loot box, because the other thing about Shadow of War is that Shadow of War is smart enough that, like, let's say that I get killed by an orc, that just gives me this reason. I'm just like, oh, you motherfucker, I'm going to get you next time. Ooh. And the fact that they'll comment on the fact that they killed you, or like some of them, like you get into a bad situation and you run away, and the next time you see them, they're like, oh, I thought you didn't want to fight me. You ran away last time. So in this way, I actually think it's not super badly implemented, but I don't know. But as far as the question goes about, do you think that this indie AAA or faux AAA model could become the new mainstay? Transformers Part 6. Like, people go see blockbuster movies in the theater even when they know they're going to be bad. People get more hyped for AAA games because they have the marketing budget and the glitz, and like, the fucking, this year's Call of Duty is a World War II game.
Yeah.
There's only been like, what, 4 of those? 4 Call of Duty literally games? Or okay, 1, 2, 1 to Big Red 1, 3? All World War II games, I believe, and then 4 was when it went to Modern Warfare. So, like, I think that in a lot of ways, the AAA side of the game industry, I think that I take your point, Ricky J, about I feel like the indie side is catching up real goddamn fast to the point of being able to make stuff that's as impressive from a gameplay perspective as the AAA stuff, but people are still going to get freaked out over a new Final Fantasy game because it's going to be
they're always going to be.
It's going to have a higher production value.
I do kind of wonder if AAA games are going to overprice themselves though, because once it's a $60 game with a $30 season pass and then additional
and loot boxes to get anywhere,
and then
pre-order DLC,
and then a slightly more expensive pre-order thing with it. It's just, that's a lot of money to spend on one game. And if you're like, no, this is like my game, I get this one game every year, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
But when it, there's so many games coming out every year, I don't know if people are really.
It's also worth noting just briefly that I feel like a lot of times this argument gets a little bit conflated, where people are like, every game, and it's like I got to buy the season pass and I got to buy all the DLC, and what happened when you just got a game in the package for $60? Well, like Uncharted 4 is a perfectly functional game with a beginning, a middle, and end. Prey 2 was fine. Resident Evil 7 has DLC, but I played one of those DLCs and it was cool, but it was a side story, right? Like the main game had all of the Resident Evil that I really wanted. So some of these games do take out stuff, like that Mass Effect example, or the way that Asura's Wrath literally cut the end of the game off and then sold it as DLC.
Yeah.
But like Doom didn't have any single player DLC to speak of.
Yeah.
Or I would have played it. I would have fucking played it. All right. Like Wolfenstein didn't have any. Skyrim is a perfectly functional game if you don't get the DLC. Fallout 4 is a perfectly functional game. It's almost too big. The Witcher 3 had 2 DLCs, and the Witcher 3 base game is fine as is. So I think that what you're probably going to end up seeing is you're going to see companies like EA and Activision and Microsoft probably leaning real hard into this bullshit until, let us not forget, Ricky J, that once upon a time, every EA game that came out had a day one DLC and a thing called an online pass, where you literally couldn't play multiplayer unless you had the DLC that came in the brand new box as a way to attempt to combat used game sales with Madden.
Yep.
And after about 1.5 years, 2 years of that, maybe longer, they finally did away with it because they were just like, this isn't stopping anything, and it's
just upsetting people.
It's creating bad will for us. Like nobody wants to buy a brand new game, bring it home, and the first thing you got to do is go online and enter in a code just to be able to play multiplayer. You're like, it's punishing your good consumers for, the sake of trying to keep your shit together. So those are my thoughts. I don't know. I don't really like loot boxes, but I haven't run into a game like NBA 2K18 and Forza 7 are so far the ones that a lot of people have held up as being like the worst examples. I haven't played either one of those games because I'm not really a racing fan. I'm not really a basketball fan. We'll see in Assassin's Creed, because that game looks really cool, but if it's stupid, then, if they've stupided it out with...
Then we'll know.
Wow. Well, so much for brevity. Will writes in and says, Jeff and Amanda, this one's for you, Amanda.
Yeah.
I'll let you answer all of this. With Halloween coming up in a few weeks, I have been thinking about putting together some horror movies to watch. Since I am not very experienced with horror, I wanted to ask Rage Select what your recommendations would be to get started with the horror genre. Pretty much the only movie I have seen that might be considered horror or close to horror would be Army of Darkness. Jeff,
my brother.
Jeff, I remember you talking about horror movie marathon you created for one of your friends, which I was planning to base my selections on. This was from your Sunday streaming session of Saints Row 4, which was Tucker and Dale versus Evil, The Babadook, and Trick or Treat.
That's a weird combination.
Well, Tucker and Dale versus, this was for a person who doesn't watch a lot. Hold on. What changes would you suggest or to the selection, if any? Thanks, Will. But the reason that I put this together was Tucker and Dale, this is for a person who doesn't really like horror movies all that much. Tucker and Dale is a nice warm-up because it's got some gore and grossness and stuff in it, but it's also funny.
Yeah.
And it's a cute original movie.
It's a nice twist on those slashers.
Yep.
But if they don't like horror, why would you do something that's a twist on something they don't watch?
Because they wanted to watch horror. They haven't seen a lot of it, but they wanted to watch some horror movies. So I thought Tucker and Dale versus Evil, get you warmed up. The Babadook, which is your main course, real heavy,
real tough. That's a slow burn movie.
Yep. And then when you're done with that, then Trick or Treat is just a nice look at all the crazy bullshit in this movie.
What's that called? It's several little short movies.
An anthology.
Thank you. Yeah, like Creepshow.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a 100-movie marathon, so ooh boy. Now you're getting into the real question as far as getting people that aren't into horror movies. Like, what way do you go? I always suggest a George Romero movie because he is the godfather of the
Soul.
zombies.
Funk.
Yeah, all of the above.
Bees.
But I like the original Dawn of the Dead. I really like Day of the Dead if you're doing any sort of zombie. I feel like you're required to watch at least one zombie movie to understand and appreciate what it was.
And it's Shaun of the Dead.
Shaun of the Dead is a throwback. I don't recommend. So here's my thing, because I have a list of movies that I really, really enjoy, but a lot of them are throwbacks to other horror.
Okay.
I don't think it's fair to be like Shaun of the Dead references a lot of zombie movies.
Yeah.
So you will appreciate Shaun of the Dead because it's a fun movie and it's completely fun. You can watch Spaceballs without watching Star Wars.
Right.
You can watch Shaun of the Dead without watching any
Night of the Living Dead.
Exactly. But I do feel like if I'm trying to introduce you to a horror, I don't want to show you the ones that are referencing horror first. I want to show you the reference material.
You could go worse than having a triple feature of your 80s Monster Mash with what would you
if we were doing
Freddy, Jason, and Halloween?
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a darker movie, but it takes a long time.
It's also more 70s than 80s, the first one was. But, Tobe Hooper said that he directed that to be a comedy?
Really?
Yeah, he's like, it's supposed to be a comedy, but nobody got the joke. It's like, no.
The second one's a comedy.
Well, that's why he was like, I guess I got to go a little harder into it.
And,
if you were going to do, I don't like slasher movies, but if you're going to do slashers, which are considered like the big horror classics, of course you got to do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th,
First
Halloween.
Nightmare on Elm Street is a solid movie.
It is a solid movie, but
Hellraiser is also very solid.
Yeah,
but
I actually really like Hellraiser.
Hellraiser, I feel like Hellraiser's the one for the real nerds, right? Like everybody's seen those other ones, and you're like, yeah, but you've seen Hellraiser.
Hellraiser's fucked up. I kind of want to read the book.
It is fucked up because it's kind of a horror movie, but it's also kind of just this weird,
sexual shit,
sexual serial killer kind of molestation, overtones. It's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, the Cenobites think they're doing you a favor. They don't. It's just real weird. But if we're talking 80s movies. Mm-hmm. I would probably suggest something more like Night of the Creeps, Return of the Living Dead, and Fright Night as a triple feature because they are all, although that does completely go against, those are all references to other horror movies, but you can watch them standalone and they're great and it's 80s fun craziness. And I think they work really well together because you get Night of the Creeps, which are zombies, Night of the Creeps are slug monsters, alien slug monsters.
Sure.
Return of the Living Dead is zombies, and Fright Night is vampires. So you get a nice little combination of
Help
stuff.
me think of a third one. I was actually thinking a way you could do it would be mixing with other genres. So I was thinking Alien, The Thing, and I was looking for one other science fiction horror movie.
If I say Event Horizon, would I sound like I'm constantly repeating myself?
Nope. Event Horizon will be the perfect one for that, right? You just do that with the, it depends on how you want to live your life. I would say.
All right, yeah. Let's do that.
I would say Alien is I would say Event Horizon to get the night going. That's a popcorn starter, right?
Ooh, yeah. It starts a little slow, but once it gets into it, man, you are in it.
Event Horizon is a great movie, and then I would say Alien for the middle because that's some real meat and potatoes. Only because I want you to end your night with the end of the thing.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to feel bad about yourself. It's too bad that actually maybe put Event Horizon in the middle because I feel like the Alien and the Thing both kind of have a similar kind of like downer, quiet ending to them, but the Thing is better.
I mean, I'm always the Thing fan. I'm John Carpenter, for God's sakes. Prince of Darkness and the Mouth of Madness, and the Thing. What is it called? The Apocalypse trilogy.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Evil Dead 1, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. For God's sakes. Why would you not?
Poltergeist? I like Poltergeist.
Poltergeist is nice.
Poltergeist scared the shit out of me as a kid. I don't know if I would count The Invitation as a horror movie, but it's a good movie.
It's
maybe it's a horror movie.
They consider it they put it like most people that I'm in a couple of different horror fan groups at this point. Put The Invitation under slow burn horror. It's like the Babadook kind of thing where it just takes a long time.
Or let the right one in. The original.
If you were gonna do more, maybe less discussed horror movies, I would highly suggest As Above, So Below, which is a found footage film. Okay. But it is genuinely good.
Also, I'm just looking at it. I just typed in horror movies into Google, and we got a little thing here. Exorcist is a classic that everybody should watch.
That movie, I watched it when I watched it for the first time. It was when I was home alone in the middle of the night, and our couch was against the window. I always talk about. I've mentioned the story before. I don't know if I did it on Rage Select, but it got to the walking down the stairs, the like spider walk down the stairs, and I was like, never again. I turned it off. The things that creep me out more, I mean, I think The Shining is often considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time. It's always in people's like top 3. The Thing and The Shining have a tendency, and probably The Thing, The Shining, and The Exorcist are considered people's like top films.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of Gremlins. If we're gonna do Christmas horror movies, Gremlins, Black Christmas, and Krampus are great ones.
Okay. How about horror comedies?
Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness.
Oh, come on! I'm trying to think. There was a movie that Jason told me to watch on a podcast.
If we're doing comedies, my favorites are probably Return of the Killer Tomatoes. You don't have to watch Attack of the Killer Tomatoes to get Return of.
Okay.
Return of the Killer Tomatoes, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and I'd probably put Gremlins in with that.
Zombieland. I forgot about that. That's a good
I don't
movie.
think of Tremors as a horror movie. It's on my list too, and I don't think of it as a horror movie.
I think that it got classified that way when it came out in
it's
90.
It's like a creature feature, I guess. Like how Jaws is a horror movie.
I think
but
at the time it's like what do you put it under?
Yeah.
Like what do you put it under in the video store? Because like if you put it under action, it's not really much of an action movie.
Yeah.
Like it's not family.
Yeah.
It's not.
Is Rocky Horror Picture Show? I know it's in the title. Is that considered a horror musical?
Oh boy,
because
that's a good
you could do a
question.
triple feature: Little Shop of Horrors, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. That'd be a good one. That's a light. If you're like, oh, I want to get into horror movies, that's not really where to start.
No. That's just that's more just other people.
I mean, they've got Young Frankenstein in here as well.
I also wouldn't recommend Young Frankenstein unless you've watched the Universal. First of all, watch the Universal horror movies.
Ooh, the Frighteners. I love the Frighteners, even though it's not
the only Peter Jackson movie I like.
Really? Yeah.
I mean, I like his other stuff a little, but that's like my favorite.
Anyway.
I'm looking at your list and not my list.
I think that's enough to get you started.
Ooh, Drag Me to Hell's a good one too.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not if you're starting off.
Okay, you know what? Actually, I have a bone to pick. I think Drag Me to Hell is a boring movie. Like, there's not enough happening in that movie, and then when it does start happening, it's kind of like, what?
I wish he didn't go so full force with the gross stuff.
Yeah.
Because I don't like...
Ooh, the stuff. That's a good one.
The stuff is a good one, but I do feel like the stuff is another one of those, like, it plays into the other. You know what's a really good one?
What's
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Donald Sutherland, 1978 or whatever. Donald Sutherland, who's the other person? He's in Jurassic Park. The Fly.
Oh, Jeff Goldblum?
Jeff Goldblum's in it. So is Leonard Nimoy, which, by the way, I was like, what?
All right.
I didn't know. But, yeah, it's a really good movie to watch over and over again. Carrie is a great movie to watch. Recently rewatched Pet Sematary. That movie sucks. Oh, my God. That movie is like shitty parents being shitty.
Well, sometimes dead is better, Amanda.
It's just, yeah. Yeah, and Herman Munster with a weird accent like he's a radio host in the 1920s.
But then at least you'll understand that there's a couple of jokes in South Park where it's like that character just shows up.
Yeah.
To explain some stuff.
God, he was a great character. He was the only part that I liked in that movie, but Pet Sematary was horrible. Pet Sematary 2 with Edward Furlong, slightly better.
What's wrong with Pet Sematary?
I think the main actor that plays the father in it was terrible. He's a television actor, I believe. I'm not personally sold on them making the decisions that they make. Like, they're shit parents. They literally, like, little fucking Timmy or whatever the little boy's name was constantly trying to run out into that road. And they know, and it's like, the way they film it, it's like every 2 seconds a big rig is just like plowing past in like kid murder speed, you know what I mean? And then they're like, everyone turn your back from little Timmy, let him fucking walk wherever he walks, kind of thing. And it's just like, it was portrayed really stupidly. It like no part of it worked. There's like a ghost, but you kind of don't get a sense of like why the ghost is trying to help them.
But it has Tasha Yar in it.
Yay.
Okay, sorry.
But it's just not. I think it maybe is a sign of the times. Like it was good back then, but it's pure garbage now.
Okay.
Garbage. The story might be good. Honestly, it looks like if you read the book, it would have more to it, like more meat to it.
Okay. Brent writes in with a real heavy question. It says, "Hello, Rage Masters. Brent here, and I have a question. With the recent sexual harassment allegations against the creator of Screen Junkies, I've been thinking about how perceived images when...
Huh?
Wait. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry this over. With the recent sexual harassment allegations against the creator of Screen Junkies, I've been thinking about how perceived images when it comes to the internet, creators and those images being different. Oh, okay. Okay. Try this again. With the recent sexual harassment allegations against the creator of Screen Junkies, I've been thinking a lot about perceived images when it comes to the internet, or to internet creators, and those images being different than who that person really is. It seems that recently lots of famous internet personalities are turning out to be terrible people. Do you ever feel hesitant nowadays in supporting specific people on the internet because the off chance they may be revealed to be a terrible persona or problematic? Love to hear you and your beautiful guest host opinion, Cecilia Brent. And then he also says, for P.S. for Amanda.
Yeah.
I know you asked it a couple weeks ago, but my best guess for why they spit on dicks in porn is to save money. Lube doesn't grow on trees, and the porn industry doesn't like to waste money.
That's true.
I think that this
the most
P.S.
solid...
and this question stand a little bit in contrast to each other.
No, I was answering a question I asked. It's not sexual harassment when I asked.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like the people that you support on the internet, or people, I guess, that you support or people that you like in general, that you're worried about them potentially being monster fucking fuckers? And
no.
Okay.
Not because they're like, I'm like, no, the only people I like are clearly angels. I just, have always known that humans are fallible.
Yes.
And I don't idolize people that high up.
Yes.
So, like, I don't put people on that high of a pedestal. So I don't have the issue of being like, I really like, this is a weird example, but there's a daily vlogger named Shay Carl.
Okay.
Who I used to watch, who came off like happy as can be, nicest guy, family man, has a wife, Mormon kind of thing, but he was always so happy and positive that it was kind of fun to watch. Turns out he's like a raging alcoholic and cheated on his wife.
Oh, good. Great.
And so does that deplete my opinion of him? Yeah, of course. Like, people that make those kinds of mistakes, I'm not like a fan of cheating on your spouse and stuff like that. But does it doesn't crush me? Does it make me want to not trust another YouTuber? No. Like, whatever. Like, if I find out they do something super bad and I'm like, oh, I can't possibly follow their work anymore, then I won't follow their work anymore. But I'm not going to, like, feel guilty about enjoying the stuff that I enjoyed.
Yeah, Brent, I get where you're coming from, especially over the last couple of weeks between the... Again, I don't really talk about this stuff because I like to keep the Rachel at the place where we can
I've been keeping a list. Do you want to know the names?
Make jokes. But between here in Austin with the Alamo Draft House, that
and
seemed to be
Cool
the
News
kickoff. Ain't It Cool News, Screen Junkies. And
California had something with a cinema family as a theater.
And then the Harvey Weinstein stuff.
Did you hear that Harvey Firestein has been getting hate?
I thought that was an Onion article. Was that for real?
I thought it was for real.
I just want him to make not a statement on Twitter. I want him to record something. I'm not Harvey Weinstein.
I just love that. Like, what role is like? He's offering girls like roles in his like Broadway plays.
So here's the thing. I definitely get where you're coming from, Brent, and especially nowadays. For my own 2 cents, I have to take breaks from just like looking at anything outside of my life because it can be like half the things that I don't know why it is, but half my Facebook feed are like these now this videos about just like, did you know that in Georgia somebody's been fucking all the mailboxes? Like, it's one thing after another.
Literally fucking mailboxes?
No.
Do they spit on the mailbox when they fuck it?
That was actually a bad example because that would be like, oh shit, finally something fun and not terrifying.
Yeah, no, it's like there's a lot of, it's just mass murder mixed with mass sexual harassment mixed with dumb statements by people on high places and...
Yeah.
Oh boy! Yeah. My issue is more. All right, I'm gonna get into the Weinstein thing just for a second.
Okay.
My issue with that is not less about the sexual harassment, but like because people are coming out, people are speaking out against it. That's fine. But the fact that 30 Rock and Seth MacFarlane, like 5 and 6 years ago, were making jokes about this. Some TV show called, I think, Action on Fox in 1999 made a Harvey Weinstein joke about sexual harassment. They're openly joking about it because it's a openly known secret is more upsetting.
Yeah.
Like, if people come out and go, like the thing with the guy from Screen Junkies is that girl actually went to HR of Defy, which is the company he worked for.
Yeah.
And didn't...
They didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything. Like
it seemed like they were like, oh, well, we're doing an investigation. It's like, all right.
Yeah, you're not.
I've seen where this ends up going. Is you're waiting for everybody to forget about this to be like, well, we completed our investigation. Nothing was wrong.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the big thing is to just know that people are fallible and you don't know everyone's everything. And when editing is involved, you can really portray yourself any way you want. And if you understand that, then maybe you won't be super disappointed. I don't know if that sounds pessimistic, but I just like don't hold people up to be these magic beings.
People are people. I tell this story all the time of there was one of the SpillCons a long time ago where this really big guy came up to me and was like shaking and he was nervous and he was like, I just wanted to say that I really like your show and blah, and I was just like, dude, I am just a regular ass person, right? Like
fire ants bite him.
They bite me just like everybody else. Like everybody else. Fucking fire ants. They don't even bite. They sting. They're little wasps with no wings. Little fuckers.
Yeah.
But it's worth remembering that people are people, and especially on YouTube, because literally anybody can put whatever they want to on YouTube.
Do you not assume that everyone that portrays themselves is happy, but also has the ability to get paid to literally make bullshit videos and edit those videos are as happy as they are? Because they are so not.
Also, but on the other hand, Brent, I'd also like to say that road that you're suggesting of being kind of like. Well, I don't know. You seem all right, but what's your dark secret? That's a dark road in the forest, right? Because you're talking about basically holding everybody to scrutiny. It's an easy mindset to get into of just like, well, you seem all right, but so did Bill Cosby. Does
that become like a self-fulfilling prophecy? Is that what it is? Where after anything you do, they're gonna kind of fit into their idea.
I think a lot of times with the internet that happens a lot because especially people that tweet all the time, and it's like you can go. We've seen this so many times when somebody made a stupid joke 4 years ago, and then they're suddenly in the limelight for something, and they go back and drag whatever that is.
Ben Affleck spoke ill of Harvey Weinstein, and then people started pulling up shit from him from the early 2000s.
Oh man, way back into
and they're like, so you grabbed a girl's boob once in 2004, and it's like, I mean, yeah, that's bad, and he apologized for it. And how you feel about public apologies is up to you, but man, guys, that was 2004. Come on.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to something
upbeat. So my cat was murdered.
Let's move on to something. Let's move on to this. This ties into something that we got up before.
Mm-hmm.
Alex writes in and says, "Hello, Rage Lords." I think it's interesting. Everybody this week has written in "Hello, Rage Masters." Nobody's written in "Hello, Jeff and blank."
Yeah. We're masters and lords.
I don't get to say my name 8 times in a podcast.
Finally.
Now, this may be covered in the news story. If it's already been talked about, disregard my question. With the release of Fortnite not looking like a huge success, Epic adopted a King of the Hill or public unknown battlegrounds game mode and looks to be successfully drawing in new players, which is great for them. The public unknown battleground devs, with all seriousness and no irony, are accusing Fortnite devs for copying their idea. Let that sink in. Considering the game mode of Public Unknown Battlegrounds or King of the Hill was around before Public Unknown Battlegrounds, I guess that the original that I know of is Battle Royale, the movie. Now, Epic, the game devs for Fortnite, did use some Public Unknown Battlegrounds references in their marketing, but no code or anything like that. It seems like Public Unknown Battlegrounds, I'm just going to start saying PUBG because I don't want to say that the entire time. The PUBG devs are actually going to try to pursue some legal crap with this. Do they hold any water with a legal case, do you think? Also, something to consider, PUBG uses Unreal Engine, which Epic made. Is this the future of game devs being bitchy to other devs over popular game mode types? Will we see game devs copyright game types and modes? Sorry for the long email, Alex. And then it just says PUBG was not YBE. Yeah, you know me.
No.
They won't. They probably won't. Nothing will be able to come of that.
Yeah,
more likely there than not. Because, if that was a thing, I feel like. Well, no. I don't think we've ever had a. I don't ever think we've had a. I'm just trying to rack my brain, but I don't think we've ever had a case of you can't do that multiplayer game mode because we created that, and even though it's popular, I mean, they didn't create the idea of multiplayer game mode. They didn't, but they did. I think they are the first game. Okay, King of the Hill is definitely a game mode, but I think they're the first game to do this specific take on King of the Hill. But I don't think that's enough to make them stand out. Which, I mean, public PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds is 100 people, and everybody.
The playing field gets smaller and smaller.
Parachutes in on the map. You pick up stuff, and you're trying to kill each other as you move towards the center and be the last one alive.
Like Condemned, the movie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the game.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
No, I've never watched a Stone Cold Steve Austin movie. I don't think that they're going to be able to do anything. I think that's you can't make a first-person shooter. We made a first-person shooter.
Yeah, that's a little. You guys being silly.
Yeah. Besides, games ripping off other games
That's what innovation.
Remember 3 years ago with MOBAs? There was a DC Comics MOBA. John and I played that. There was a Transformers MOBA. John and I did not play that. But yeah, Alex, I don't think they have a case for that. I don't know. We'll see. And last, we're going to come in with one from TNT.
Sorry, I just like the Jeff and.
Oh, yes, it says Jeff and Amanda/John.
Because it's either one or the other.
We have ourselves a hypothetical. We have two hypotheticals,
nice.
actually.
All right, I'm in.
All right. Hey, Jeff and Amanda. I've been wanting to send you guys a question for weeks, but every time I sit down to write you guys, I forget what I was going to ask. Today is no different. However, I found 3 would you rather questions for you guys in the meantime.
I'm for it.
Number 1. Would you rather know when you are going to die or how you are going to die? You can't change the time or method of your death.
Oh man, I'm a big neither. Like I would rather not know when or where and just let it happen. If I had to choose, I'd probably want to know how over when.
Okay. Why?
I don't want to count down my life. I'd rather not know and then know. Like if it's like you're gonna get eaten by a shark, then anytime I go into the water, then I just know that it's a possibility. Or if it's like you're gonna have a heart attack, it's like, am I gonna have a heart attack at 35? Am I gonna have a heart attack at 85? I'll never know.
See, I
will know because at some point it'll happen. But you know what I mean.
I think that you are underestimating this question because for those of us who aren't into, who are not fatalist, right? I'm not really a fatalist. It sounds like a terrible thing, right? You don't want to know either one. You already said that. I don't want to know either one either, right? But if I had to know one of them, I'd rather know when I was going to die than how I was going to die.
So that you could be fucked up and crazy and go, it's not going to kill me.
Damn right.
I don't want, No, I totally get that. I think that's a good
Groundhog Day that shit up.
Jesus.
Where's not what
right, but what if you bang your head and get put in a vegetative state and then literally do not die until that time?
See,
do you know what I mean?
Even if that was the case, even if there was no guarantee, I still think I'd rather know when I was going to die because the problem is the answer, how are you going to die? If it was heart attack, then I'm just going to be paranoid. Every day I'm going to be like, is this the fucking day? Is this the fucking hour? Is it the fucking minute? And then I'm going to have a fucking heart attack from worrying about when I'm going to have a heart attack. I'd rather just
I feel like that wouldn't happen unless it's something real weird where they're like, you're going to get stabbed. And you're just like... Well, what do you wait? No, can I get more details than that?
but heart attack is very. It could happen anytime,
right?
I mean,
So live your life like you don't know when you're gonna Guess what?
But you do,
right? But you're gonna know you're gonna die no matter what.
Look,
you know that there's a
how do you
finite
expect
amount
me
of time.
to smoke cigarettes if I don't lie to myself and say that I'm never gonna get cancer?
Jeff, don't stop smoking cigarettes. Start vaping like the rest of us.
Oh man, I'm not a vapist. All right, I'm not a dirty vapist. All right, so we're 50-50 on this one. Number 2, would you rather go to jail for 4 years for something that you didn't do, or get away with something horrible you did do, but always live with the fear of being caught?
4 years of prison for something I didn't do, because then I get that whole
You just get to be a self-righteous dick.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's a great chapter in your life book.
Yeah.
I went to jail for something I didn't do.
I'm going to need slight clarification to what kind of jail. Are we talking like fucking hardcore federal prison?
Like the jail where they send all the drunks? Not like
a white collar county low minimum security.
I had an uncle that went to jail, and Christian Slater ended up going there because he was on drugs. That's how I met.
I go to that jail. I go to that jail for 4 years.
I met Christian Slater because of it.
If we're talking about fighting for your life in the shower, Andy Dufresne Shawshank Redemption jail, I'm not. I'll live with guilt.
Yeah, no. If we're talking fucking low, not. I mean, there's no good prison, but if we're talking the one where you're not gonna have to worry about rape and shit.
I don't want to have to make a shiv or multiple shivs or. Like a gun out of a block
You're
of soap.
not going to make a shiv.
You're
Ernest. Going to be somebody's wife.
So that's why I think I'd rather do something.
You're too pretty, Jeff.
I think I'd rather do something horrible and then worry about the consequences.
I don't like living with paranoia. Okay. I don't want to have to deal with
Wait a minute, though. This makes no sense with the first question, where you could get an ambiguous answer, and then you have to live with the paranoia. Every time you see a truck, is that the truck that kills me?
But I won't feel paranoia for that. Like, I don't personally feel like I would be too, unless it's something crazy. Like I said, like if it's you're gonna get eaten by a shark, and I'm like, but I'm never near the water. That would be something where I'd be a little more freaked out. Where anytime I'd be like, "You want a trip to Hawaii?" and I'd be like, "Go fuck yourself." But
you can't change that shit, man.
I know, but it'd still be kind of weird. But for that to know I was guilty,
yeah,
that would not only would make me feel more guilty about whatever it was I did. It would make me paranoid, and like that's public. Like I can't go to the movies because what if like there's a cop, like I go eat at Chipotle, all the cops go eat.
Yeah,
at
what
Chipotle.
happens?
Like,
I mean, you might get
fuck?
caught and go to jail for 4 years.
Yeah. Well, we don't know get caught for what though. He said
it's true.
Horrible.
Something horrible.
Yeah, that could be murder.
Like stealing a PlayStation game at a Best Buy. That's horrible.
Yeah.
And last,
that's probably 4 years worth of jail.
Number 3, would you rather give up watching TV/movie/YouTube/ streaming services like Netflix for a year, or give up playing video games for a year?
Video games. I'm watching 100 movies in 100 days. God damn it! And I would not fucking stop for anything.
We are diametrically opposed human beings.
Yeah.
Nothing's gonna stop me from playing my fucking games, man.
Yeah.
Non-interactive storytelling, it's like a baby's toy.
I could literally just go on YouTube and watch Let's Players and get my fill of video games that way.
No. It's like watching videos of food. I'm like, but I want to eat it.
Jeff, you're a Let's Player. You're supposed to support Let's Plays, you weirdo.
I like Let's Plays. I don't watch them personally. And that's it. Keep up the amazing work from your loyal patron, TNT. Dynamite. That's our podcast for this week. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I think we've ended up
Brevity.
we're about 20 minutes shorter than normal. So, not what I was shooting
Still
for.
counts.
But I think we had a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. A lot of whatever. Mail@rageslide.com is the email address. You made it this far. You probably already know that. Yes.
Send in questions for me or John.
Send in questions. Who knows? Sometimes I have Nick on. I got this one guy that I really want to get on, but like he lives on the East Coast and he's got like a day job, and it never seems to fit with my schedule. So, Anyway, more would you rather questions. I like the hypothetical scenarios.
Yeah, that was fun.
We spent a lot of time on this talking about like what's your favorite blankety bloops. So send in more hypotheticals, and we'll see you next week. Bye.